what we are, Sportsmen's National Land Trust, Massachusetts chapter, is a nonprofit, qualified nonprofit 501c3 charity. We saw a need in the hunting community for land to be preserved and set aside for people to hunt on. We kept seeing signs of development of housing and development of businesses and solar farms and posted land, nowhere to hunt. And our goal as a nonprofit is to acquire land either by donation or purchase or partnering with other nonprofit organizations, taking this land and then using the land, acquiring it and holding it into perpetuity so that it's available for hunting and fishing and outdoor use for, ourselves, our children, our grandchildren.
Hey guys, this is Matt from Hunt Fish New England. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Today we have on Buzz Travers, who is a volunteer member of the Sportsmen's National Land Trust, Massachusetts chapter. You just heard from Buzz what Sportsmen's National Land Trust exactly does, and you're going to hear some more great conservation stories in the rest of this episode. This is one of many episodes that we recorded at Huntstock this year. It was a great festival, and shout out to Pat and Pat for putting it on, and also thanks to all the volunteers that made it great. Before we get into the bulk of the episode, I just want to highlight one initiative that the Sportsmen's National Land Trust Massachusetts chapter is putting on, which my family took advantage of. And if you're into supporting conservation work in Massachusetts, they're running a vanity plate fundraiser. So right now, they're about 50% or greater to their goal of achieving 3,000 plates in Massachusetts. It's a great plate. There's a lot of low numbers still available. I got one that matched up with my birthday, which was pretty cool. Just think about it. It's one way to support conservation. It's minimal money, and majority of the funds go right into conservation work here in the backyard of Massachusetts. And as you know, Massachusetts slowly but surely is having a lot of development, and there's also a lot of legislation that's putting hunting and fishing at risk. So thanks to the Sportsmen's National Land Trust and all the other organizations that are supporting conservation here in Massachusetts. So here he is. This is Buzz Travers from the Massachusetts chapter of the Sportsmen's National Land Trust.
All right, Buzz, we are live, sir. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick intro because you're a guest we want on, but you're not our traditional guest. Typically, we have a small business owner on the podcast, somebody who's got like a lure company or they're a hunting guide here in New England. But what the work that you all do is extremely meaningful to all of us outdoorsmen. So everyone, this is Buzz Travers from the Sportsman National Land Trust, Massachusetts chapter.
Well, Matt, thanks for having me on. And yes, we're not traditional to your normal vendors that you might have on, local small business owners, but we're generally a small business type entity. What we are, Sportsmen's National Land Trust, Massachusetts chapter, is a nonprofit, qualified nonprofit 501c3 charity. What that means is that any money that we receive is tax deductible for the donor that might contribute the money to us. And our organization started a little over 20 years ago. We saw a need in the hunting community for land to be preserved and set aside for people to hunt on. We kept seeing signs of, development of housing and development of businesses and solar farms and posted land, nowhere to hunt. So we started thinking about that and said, what are we going to do about that? So we decided, we could form a nonprofit. And we formed this nonprofit and got it set up. And our goal as a nonprofit is to acquire land either by donation or purchase or partnering with other nonprofit organizations, taking this land and then using the land, acquiring it and holding it into perpetuity so that it's available for hunting and fishing and outdoor use for, ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, so that it won't be developed. Sometimes people do a conservation easement on property. We don't really do that. We try to acquire the land, and then what we want to do on the land is we do habitat work on the land. So we've partnered with other federal and state agencies that will help us if we get a piece of property. We'll do a stewardship plan. We'll have a forester come in, and the forester will look at the land and will determine what would be best for this land. Some of the land that we have where we first started was in Granville, Massachusetts.
Okay.
There was an older gentleman there, Walter Phelan, and Walter learned about us through his attorney. He was an older guy, really didn't have many heirs, and he had 600 acres of land in Granville that he wanted to he let farmers and other people hunt on his land, but he didn't want to see it go to development. So he learned about our land trust, and he said, "I want to donate the land to you guys." And and it was a tremendous bonus and an impetus for us to get started. We really helped us get us on the map, if you will. So we got the 600 acres from him. We ended up partitioning half of the land to an heir of his that showed up, and so one went to an heir of his, and the other half went to us. So we split the road. But it really was great. It got us on the map. He also gave us some money to help sort of do some habitat work. So when we first got that property, it was a very old growth forest. So there wasn't much understory, and it wasn't great habitat for certain species. Not many species really. Deer would pass through there, but there wasn't much for them to eat. There wasn't much browse. Rabbits, there was no cover. Birds, cover, things like that. So we got a forestry stewardship plan with probably the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and maybe the NRCS, which is a National Resource Conservation group, federal group, and some state money, and they helped us do our plan. So we did a 10-year plan, and we did some clear cuts in certain areas where we cleared areas, and then we looked at the property after that, and now we have beautiful understory and lots of browse and animals of the species that are in there now are much more diverse, and it's really a great property. So so we do that with the properties that we acquire, and we were very fortunate that he donated that money to us. He could
what an incredible guy.
He could get a tax deduction for that because if you donate land, you can get a tax deduction. It's because he's donating to a charitable organization. And so we helped work with him on that. And although that really wasn't his impetus was to give this land to people that are going to use it and keep it the way he liked to see it be used. And so that's named the Walter Feline Conservation Area, and it's in Granville, 290 acres there. Subsequent to that, we would raise money by going to shows like this, like Huntstock and other sportsman shows throughout, the Boxborough Fishing Show.
Yeah, that's where I first met you guys.
That's right.
Yep.
The Springfield Sportsman Show, whatever, Worcester shows. And we get our name out there, and we, ask people for donations and things like that. It's kind of slow. All of us are volunteers. Nobody gets paid, so we're kind of raising some money. So we came up with the idea to get a vanity license plate in Massachusetts. There's lots of vanity plates. There's a Fish plate, there's a Bruins plate, there's a Celtics plate, a Red Sox plate.
Right.
There's a Cancer plate. Things like that. So we said, hey, why don't we do this? So we looked into that and we figured out how to do it. And basically, the state they kind of favor nonprofits in this sense. They say, okay, we'll do that. We'll work with you on this. In order to do it, at the time we got the plate, we had to have 750 plates sold with check in hand, the person's name, address, their driver's license, and everything. So we had to hold all these things, and so we went to various shows, and we would be collecting this information from people and their money, and we had to get 750 of these collected before we could hand them over to the state, and they would actually then start to produce the plate.
What a lift.
So that took a few years,
Yeah.
really. It took some time. One of the benefits of people that got in early on, however, was they could pick their license plate. We had plates between, the numbers 0 and 750.
Fun.
So people could go pick a nice low-numbered plate. For example, I have 111,
Do you see other ones, 0 to 150 when you're out driving ever?
We do. And we
cool.
have a list, and and we've seen some people here at this show at Huntstock, which has been great, and they've said, hey, I'm number 11, or I'm 142. And
Yeah.
it's great to see those people because they really helped us with this plate. And now, now where are we? We're several years into the plate. We now have almost 1,600 plates that have been issued and are out on the road, but we need to get 3,000 plates. The state requires you to get 3,000 plates on the road and processed through their system before they will release you from a bond. We had to post an insurance bond, $100,000 insurance bond that cost us $3,000 a year to basically give them a commitment that we're going to finish this process and we're going to get 3,000 plates on the road. So one of the things we've been doing recently, and at this show, for example, is we're offering a voucher to people that want to get this specialty plate and help us out where we will pay for the $40 vanity fee, the specialty plate fee, and there's a transfer fee of $20. We'll give them $60 once they show us that they've done this, and if they do it by October 31, and that'll help us get more plates on the road. I'll show you. There's no video, right? So
We got a video right there.
right here. We could take a picture of that if you wanted to show that.
I'll try to, when we release this, I'll try to get this on the full screen, but for people who
Okay.
got super good vision.
Right. So on that voucher that we have, that people can get at our booth, and we can talk about it, how they can get it on our website. There's also a bunch of low numbers that are still available. In that first run of 750 plates, not everybody picked up their plates, surprisingly.
Of course, yeah.
And so, or they moved or something like that. And so then there's low numbers that we learned from the Master RMV recently that, oh yeah, you've got 50 plates that are low number that are still available. So we've listed those plates, for example, on the back of this, and we can take a picture afterwards with that.
I got to see for myself right now. You got my number on there.
Maybe there's a number that piques your interest, so you would be interested in having.
The 150 one's cool.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. There's some good ones here.
Yeah. I mean, just recently, somebody got, for example, it's not on this list, 1776.
That's badass.
Right? Which is incredible. And another guy got 777. And, these were plates that, 777 was committed early on, but the guy didn't get it, or the person didn't pick it up. So it was surprising. So it was great to hear that it's available and that we don't lose some of those low numbers, because they might mean something to someone else where they'd be willing to support it. So right now, Matt, that's one of our primary fundraisers in terms of trying to raise money. What happens with the plate, the $40, is once the first plate is, they get their first plate, the state takes $12 for the production of the plate, and we get $28. Once the person renews in 2 years, the $40 plate fee, we get all that money. So that money comes into our organization, and it's kind of like an annuity. If people keep their plates and stay, we keep getting, these checks in every month from the state. So then we can take that money and move it into land or habitat management work. And so, that's kind of what we're doing and what we're all about. We've done some other stuff with other organizations where we've partnered with them. We learn of a piece of property. There's a lake in Southwick, Massachusetts, Congamon Lake.
Yep.
And there was the North Pond section there needed to acquire some land to prevent it from going into development. So we partnered with the Franklin Land Trust, and we gave them some money from our organization to help support that cause, so that they could acquire this land and it would, keep it as part of the pond, and the lake.
I hunt this piece of property that it's had 22 acres. It's a roadside portion of a bigger woods area, and I've just had in my head, like, someone needs to buy this and protect it. And someone just recently bought it, and they're putting a house on it, and it's like, it just kind of kills me inside. So if someone sees a property like that in the future, do they contact you all directly? Like, how does that system work?
That would be great if they could do that, right? What I'll do is give you our website. So our website is www, of course, snltmassachusetts.org.
Got it.
So that would be a great way to contact us. We may have a phone number, although, it's sort of a P.O. box office. As I said, we're all volunteers. Nobody's really in the office.
Yep.
But that would be the best way. And we do, from time to time, get calls from people that say, hey, just like you said, hey, there's 22 acres that is really beautiful and hate to see it go to... What we do, though, we look at, we have certain criteria when we look at a piece of land. We don't want to buy a piece of land that's set in the middle of, a residential development. There may be 10 acres here, but there's homes everywhere. It may not fit.
Right.
But if there's, 20 acres and it's next to, it abuts a Mass Fish and Wildlife, state property, or if it abuts some other organizations that have properties that are favorable to hunting, and there are many of them out there. For example, this parcel, we just bought another parcel in Conway, Buckland area, which is sort of near Shelburne Falls, Greenfield.
Yeah.
A little bit northwestern part of the state. We had a donor that came to us and said, I like your organization. If you see a piece of property you want to buy, let me know, and I'll see if I can help you with the cost. So this donor stepped up and helped us with the cost, which was great. And so We now have a new property that's going to be dedicated to the James Vinsunis Conservation Area.
Incredible.
And he's been a friend of the organization, and he gave us money for that, and it's tremendous. And so that's a 67-acre parcel that abuts 3 other parcels that are over 600 acres.
Wow.
And they're all huntable. One of them is Flag Mountain. The other one is Hull Forestry has some land, and then there's what's the other one? Well, there's 3 parcels that are connected there, and so we only have 67 acres, but we now open access to these other parcels that, for the most part, were landlocked. You couldn't really get there.
Wow.
Our parcel's on the road, next to a road, 67 acres next to the road. So when we go in there, and we've already got the forestry plan going, and this fall/winter, they're going to go in and do some work, and we're going to create a parking area, dedicate the property properly, put a plaque up for the individual, and post the land, and then it'll be nice huntable land.
Sounds great. Do you ever do like a post study to see what the the outcome of the work is? Like, do you work with biologists at all to say, like, there's this many deer per square mile or whatever, and after this work, this is what we're experiencing? Do you have any partnerships like that?
Yeah, we don't personally do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of the organizations that fund the stewardship program may do that work.
Sure.
That's a good question. I could try to follow up with you and get back to you on that, but I don't think that we do. We don't do it, but they may do it, because I know that when they look at a piece of property and they develop the stewardship plan, they look at certain criteria.
Sure,
like
they're
that.
doing it for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, wait
True.
a minute, here's this property. It's got old hardwoods. What can we do to create a better habitat for rabbits or turkeys or grouse or deer, whatever.
Sure.
And so I suspect that they're looking at that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So those are some of the things that we do, Matt, and we're, as I said, we're all volunteers, and we really enjoy it. Of course, many of us hunt, and we do that, but some don't that are involved, and they just support the cause.
Of course.
And so we're having a great time here at Huntstock. We think it's
This is the best.
It's really great.
Yeah.
We're sick of the when you go into a building, a convention center, and you walk around. This is more fun outside,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I want to thank you again for letting me come on and speak, and
of course,
appreciate your time.
Yeah, I was just about to go and start confessing my love for Huntstock, but I've been doing that the past couple pods, so we'll save the listeners
There
a
you
break.
go. We'll save them.
Buzz, thank you for all your volunteerism and to the rest of your group, and
Right.
we'll have to keep an eye out for some of these vanity plates, but also for other stewardship projects you have going on.
Absolutely. And I guess I'll close maybe by one other thing. So I did say we're the Mass chapter. Originally in 1998, we founded the national organization, and one of our goals at that time was to try to help people like-minded people like ourselves that want to start a chapter in other states. We did have a chapter in Washington State at one point. We still own a little land out there. But recently we've been contacted by some donors and other people that want to get more involved in that. And we're going to probably start to take that national chapter again and really try to branch out and help people in other states do something like we're doing. We're preserving land and saving it and conserving it for people to hunt on and fish forever. So we'll be trying to do more of that too.
All right. Well, we'll have to
All
keep
right,
an
well,
eye
thanks
out.
so much.
Buzz, thank you so much.
Appreciate your
That's
time.
Buzz Travers from Sportsmen National Land Trust Mass Chapter. Check him out.